fine young men and women into the military, to the Army, Navy, and Air Force. Before I get started, did I dep any of y'all in before? One? Oh, maybe a couple. Okay, cool. How long ago?
A few months.
A few months?
About 7 months.
7 months, okay. All right, do I have any veterans? You? Okay, what service?
Army.
Army? Army, I know that. Anybody else? Okay, cool, great. Well, thank you for our veterans for your service as well. So, I know this is a big day for everybody here, not just for our applicants, but for the family members and friends who've come to support them. And thank you all for coming. I'm glad you could take the time out of, I know it's your busy schedules to be here for this great day. Excuse me. All right, before I get started in my speech, and what I always like to try to do is put some things in perspective for you guys about what you've done to get to this point, and hopefully give you something to think about as you continue on the road. For my Navy folks, it's going to freeze in Chicago, no problem. For the Air Force, it's going down to San Antonio, which was cold this last week, but it's warming up considerably. For you, where are you headed off to?
Georgia.
Fort Benning. Fort Benning's actually colder in the winter, believe it or not. It's hot in the summer, but it's cold in the winter. So. All right. How many of y'all are 18 to 24? Go ahead and raise your hands. And that's everybody. Okay, that's typical. To the tune of about 90 to 95% of first-time enlistees into the military are between the ages of 18 to 24. And that kind of makes up our prime age demographic that we look for to help come in and sustain the force, you know, replace those folks that are getting out or retiring or whatever. So, interesting facts about your specific age group. Out of all the 18 to 24-year-olds, all across the United States, and I say interesting, we can substitute the word disturbing or distressing, and you'll understand why in a moment. Out of all the 18 to 24-year-olds all across the United States, only 30% can qualify for military service. Only 30% can do what you are doing today, and that's joining the military for whatever reason, for various reasons, but whatever reason. You're doing something that 70% of your peers can't do, and that's a big accomplishment. So congratulations for being qualified to serve and being able to raise your right hand and enlist into the military. It's a big deal. It speaks volumes about your character and what you've done up to this point in your life to get to this point. So congratulations. But, it's always a but, right? Somebody says something good, but it's not a bad one, though. It's not a bad one, but being qualified to serve, being able to serve, getting to this point is not the most important step in this process. Believe it or not, even raising your right hand is not the most important step. That happens before you ever step foot in this building, maybe before you ever talk to a recruiter. But at some point, each and every one of you had to make a choice. And you had to choose to serve. You had to choose to put on a uniform. There's no draft, no conscription, no mandatory federal service, no mandatory public service. You don't do this. You don't get to this point without choosing to put on a uniform. For my Air Force folks, it's that uniform right back there. For my Army folks, it's this one right here. For my Navy, it's bell-bottom, silly white hat. Actually, the Navy does have a uniform that looks exactly like this, same digital camouflage pattern, everything just a different color. It's light blue and dark blue. So it's a wonderful, wonderful design by the Navy. You blend in extremely well with the ocean. So when you fall off the ship, no one can see you. Wonderful. No. But making that choice to serve, contractor, making that choice to serve is the most important step in the process. Okay, if you don't choose to do this, if you don't make that initial choice, you don't ever get to this point. And when we start talking about choosing to serve, I think some of the numbers are going to surprise you. We've got about 2.8 million folks serving in the military right now. That's Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, Coast Guard, active duty, reserve component, National Guard. 2.8 million. There's 300 million folks in America. 300 million citizens. That's less than 1% of the current population of the United States is serving in her armed forces. Less than 1%. We've got about 20 million veterans out of the current population. Do the math. It's about 8 to 9% of the current population is either serving or has ever served in the military. Less than 10% of the population of the United States. So as you can see, you're choosing to do something that's pretty special. So congratulations. for being qualified to serve, but really more importantly, thank you for choosing to serve. Because it's young men and women like yourself who are joining now, who are going to be the ones that will be keeping our nation safe and our military strong for the next 10, 20, 30, anybody? I get 30 out of you now. For the foreseeable future, so, long after I retire. So thank you very much for choosing to serve. All right, that completes my speech. I know everybody kind of has to suffer through it because I don't get a captive audience very often. But they let me do this about once a week. Other times they chain me to my desk and argue and sign paperwork. It's the fun part of my job, doing this. So, got to ask you 3 questions. Once we finish those 3 questions, we'll get into the oath of enlistment. So I know that's kind of the real reason everybody's here. The first one deals with Articles 83, 85, and 86 of the Uniform Code of Military Justice. It covers fraudulent enlistment, AWOL, and desertion. We've been briefed on it, but does anybody have any questions about those 3 articles? No? Good. Anybody have any questions about the Department of Defense's restrictions on personal conduct and separation policy? No? Okay, hardest question you're going to answer all day. Y'all ready for it? Anybody want to change their mind?
No, sir.
Good. All right. So that's that. So now we do the oath of enlistment. So just remember, I'll call you to the position of attention. I will say raise your right hand. Repeat after me. I'll say I state your name. When I say state your name, that's your cue to say your first name, middle name, and last name, not to say state your name. Please. Unless, of course, your name is state your name. Feel free to say it. Just first name, middle name, last name, please. I'll say to solemnly swear, and you can say the word swear or substitute the word affirm, depending on your own personal beliefs. At the end, I will say, so help me God, and you can choose to say that or not, once again, depending on your own personal beliefs. Anybody have any questions about the oath of enlistment? Okay, great. Then if you would, please come to the position of attention. Go ahead and raise your right hand. And repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Spencer Ian Veal,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support and defend
that I will support and defend
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
against all enemies,
against all enemies,
foreign and domestic,
foreign and domestic,
that I will bear true faith
that I will bear true faith
and allegiance to the same,
and allegiance to the same,
and that I will obey
and that I will obey
the orders of the President of the United States
the orders of the President of the United States
and the orders of the officers
and the orders of the officers
appointed over me, according to regulations
according to regulations
and the Uniform Code of Military Justice.
and the Uniform Code of Military Justice.
So help me God.
So help me God.
And you can lower your hands. All right, congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations. 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 And congratulations. Oops, sorry. Okay, from my back row, if you would please head back into the room, have a seat. I'll be right in there to sign your contracts in a minute.